So, actually, as we heard from Russ Hammer today, when you think about pros in esports, your career is pretty much done by the time you're 22, which means that you are honestly at the peak when you are so much younger than in other industries. So, we're going to hear about that today and what it's like to be growing up as an esports pro. And to lead this exciting panel is Kim Meltzer. She's the CEO of Destination Esports. I'll let her introduce herself and then take it away, Kim.
Well, good morning from the West Coast, where Nelly and Zio are and I are on the West Coast, and Justin and Eric are on the East Coast. So we're just trying to get coffee started, and we're moving forward. But we're excited to be here. I'm Kim Meltzer. I am actually considered the esports mom. I started out as the COD mom. These guys know me as the Twitch mom. Basically, took on the role to handle pro player experience throughout the last 10 years of my career in the video game industry. And I'm honored, really, truly honored to get a call in or a Zoom interest in this. And we are now with Nelly and Zio, Zio being a world champion in Vainglory, who started at 13, youngest pro player I ever got to work with, who's now 17 and an old man. And privileged right now to have Justin and his father, Eric. It's Justin from RLCS who is working to keep his world championship with his team from NRG. And Justin is actually we're honored right now because Justin is working right now to start playing again for RLCS X. And they're working their tail off right now to continue their title in North America, let alone for next year for the World Championships. So I'm honored to introduce both Zio, Justin, Nelly, and Eric. Truly, we're honored to have you here. So growing up as a pro player, as you can imagine from an amateur perspective, is really fun to watch it online. But when you're the actual pro player and the parent of a pro player, it's a completely different world. And I want to take a few minutes because Justin's going to have to ditch out of here, but Eric's going to stick with us because Justin's getting yelled at to go scrim before his actual game. And I want to just say good morning. Zio, share a little bit about your experience as a pro player, and then we'll get Justin on, and then we'll let Justin go. So,
all right. So a little bit about my pro experience. I started, well, I always played video games since I was like 9 or 10 years old. And when I was competing in Vainglory, it was for about like, I'd say 3 years before the game kind of slowly died off. But I qualified for a lot of major championships. I only ended up missing out on like 2 of them. So yeah.
crazy time. It's 13, man. He couldn't even sit on the chair properly to play the game. It was hilarious. We had to throw pillows up there so he could stay sane. And you got to know that this wasn't PC, this was on mobile. So mobile was literally everybody was bringing their iPhones, their Androids, and their iPads or whatever they had to play the game on the desk. Whereas Justin, who's with us right now, is PC player and started young as well. So Justin, share a little bit about, I know they know who you are, but share who you are just for the fun of those in the amateur world who haven't figured it out yet.
I mean, I started off playing video games when I was younger with my dad. And I used to play like Call of Duty, I used to play like Gran Turismo, like my dad as well.
Battlefield
yeah.
2.
Yeah.
That was 2002, 2003 and 4.
Yeah,
he was young. He was like, a baby.
Yeah, I was a baby. And then, Rockville came out, and I was 12 at the time.
Yeah.
And I was in 2015. And then I never thought I would actually go pro. Like, I just played it for fun because I thought it was like something unique. And then I just kept grinding every day. And then when I turned 15, I was like, I have an opportunity to go pro, and I went pro. And then I'm here now on energy with like 2 of the best players in the world.
It's been amazing to watch them grow, truly. And on an insider level, it's funny for me because I'm the old lady, although, it's kind of the funny thing to be on the inside, but the outside. And one of the things that's exciting is just with the idea that Justin has to take off in a few minutes. I really want to start, Justin, just to ask really like right now where you're at for a kid who wants to be a pro, but you've literally come from amateur. You're now fighting for your world championship round 2. We knew that in Madrid, you guys had a need to want to win that because it was 8 seasons in, and you were like, the fight was there. But now having been a world champion and now going into RLCS X, talk about kind of the good and the bad, in the few minutes you have, what would be your story? Like, what would you say to the amateur player who's like, man, I want to be where you sit, but I don't understand what that means. Like, what does it feel to you right now where you're at?
I mean, I feel, very grateful for where I'm at, honestly. Like, I never thought I would get this opportunity. I'm enjoying RLCS Season X. Obviously, with all the, COVID related stuff, we can't really travel to events, which kind of sucks, but, you know, gotta stay quarantine, 6 feet apart, gotta stay safe. But yeah, I feel very grateful for where I'm at right now. I'm thankful for all the opportunities, the energy, and like everyone else has given me. It's a great, it's amazing to be here.
And also share too the journey. I know that a lot of people don't understand the stress of what it takes, not only and Zio will share about this a little bit more, but the stress of being able to scrim for the amount of time that you had to, getting a team, qualifying, realizing that it's not just about scrimming, it's not just about practice, it's a lifestyle. And getting to hold that trophy, what's your few moments of just saying, I wish I had known this as an amateur player. And then when you held the trophy, what did that show you in your journey of being able to get there?
When I first started off playing this game, I grinded, 12 hours a day for a year probably when I first started. So when I won the trophy, like in Madrid, I was like, holy, this everything paid off. Everything, all the years since 2015, it all paid off. And honestly, I never I was going pro, so I was like, wow, I never expected this. I was expecting like maybe like the lower tier like RLRS, because that's like the lower tier of RLCS. And I just never knew I was going to be first place in RLCS and win the world championship.
Really and how many times did you fail before you actually got to hold that trophy?
Well, my first season we were second, so that was a bummer. But you can't give up. You got to keep on grinding. It's really stressful, but eventually the hard work will pay off.
For sure. And what about with your dad? Because of the few minutes that I have you, what can you say about your mom and dad? What things, have you learned from this experience as somebody who's grown a little bit older, realizing what parental support has meant to you with your parents?
They've been really supportive from the first day when I was 15. Like it's kind of sketchy, They were kind of iffy about me getting a contract at 15, but over time they felt, they were good with it, and they saw like what I was capable of doing, and they've just been supportive ever since.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Finish up, because I know you got to go, because Sis will kill me if I don't let you go. But tell the viewer who's watching you right now, if you could offer them some advice about what it's like in COVID, yet, just the things that you've learned that would be the greatest advice from Justin from NRG, being a world champion, what would that be?
I mean, stay safe with all this going on. If you're young, keep grinding. If you want to become better at a game, just keep grinding. Put in all your hard work. It will pay off eventually. You just got to keep grinding and have a good time.
And not taking second or first or third or fifth. You can't let it get to you. You can't let it psychologically bring you down, because it doesn't matter if you can't hold the trophy. It's your journey that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. So tell me today, who you playing, and what's the story with RLCSX?
I mean, we've been playing good, not as good as we want to. I took a break like a couple weeks ago, to go with my family on like a vacation. So we're coming back into things like iffy because we didn't scrim for a week, but we made top 8 yesterday, so that's good. Today we play Alpine, and hopefully we can at least make top 4. That's the plan. We want to at least make top 4, even if we don't win. As long as we're showing improvement, that's all that really matters.
Absolutely. Well, good luck, sir. I'm really proud of what you've done and who you've become. And I'm fortunate to have watched you from the beginning. And that was 4 years ago, which is hard to believe for both of you guys. But you can stay as long as you need to, and we'll continue with your dad. And just grateful for your time, because I know right now Sis is probably having a complete stroke that you're not scrimming. So grateful, beyond measure that you're here. And we'll continue to go. And I'd like to hand it over now to Zio and share his story, because as a mobile player, which was so new back then in Vainglory, different experience, because you're so used to the PC player, and here we were on an iPhone, Android, and iPad, and God knows we were in the player lounge with more cords and chargers and trying to pray to God that they didn't die in the middle of the actual tournament. But Zio, share a little story.
I just wanted to say really quick, Justin, thank you so much. You feel free to hop out whenever you need to. And Zio, I'm so excited to hear from you, because a lot of times when people think about esports, they think about PC. Sometimes they don't even think about console, and people like to poo-poo mobile gaming. So I'm so excited that you're here to tell us about that and say, hey, no, this is actually an esport too. So listen up.
Yeah, okay. So to explain my story, I started playing Vainglory when I was about 12 years old, and exactly like 3 months after the game actually released in the App Store. Uh, so when I first started out, I was not good. I've never even played a MOBA before, because it was kind of, Vainglory was kind of like the League of Legends that you see on PC, but basically on mobile, and it was a 3v3. So I was really bad, and since I was so young, I really didn't comprehend much things, because at 12 years old, I'm not really thinking about, oh, I have to rotate or like hero mechanics. I was just, just trying to have fun. And when I first started playing, I had a lot of time on my hands, playing 12 hours a day, just like anyone else, just really enjoying a game. So I eventually got pretty good, but the first tournament I played in, I lost. I didn't even make it to the first Vainglory Championship that they hosted in California. But the next one, I literally got second place, and the team we lost to were the world champs at the time, which was Team Solo Mid. And then the championship after that, we qualified and won. But then we went into a huge drought of just losing and losing. So every pro kind of has to go through that sometimes. And one of the first world championships we went to and qualified, we were in the semifinals against TSM again. They were kind of like our rival team in Vainglory, and we ended up losing to them. We were reverse sweeping them, and then we just literally threw at the end, which it's a really bad loss, and it kind of demotivated like the entire team. So that's when I had to do like a full roster change with new players, and then we were able to win the last like major Vainglory championship. And then the game kind of died off there, and then I decided to do YouTube.
Can you imagine? So that was at 13. And by the way, both Justin and Zio, for humor, before we get into their parents, they both are leaders in their own right. And I think Justin took a really good cornerstone approach to his team, because Garrett G was always kind of trying to get to that trophy, and Justin would support that and the changes that they made through the seasons. And I remember in Madrid, which was so much fun, was the fact that they were so stressed trying to get to that trophy, and they honestly gave up. And I basically told both of them that if they won, that I would make their profile pic, because I have an inside joke with both of them, and I still owe it to them. But they weren't going to do it. And I said, come on, if you win, I get to win. And if you don't win, then I lose, like either way, you're going to do well. And it was really fun to watch them fight with Turbo last year to get to that trophy. And when they held that trophy, I have to say, Justin played so remarkable. He stepped up his game. He wanted it just as much as they did, but he was always in the background. And as a leader in the background, most people don't realize on teams how team building is so imperative, because that team that you create is really your family, and you really do trust them on so many levels. And now with a new team and a new experience, that trophy for both of them was something that's so unique that everybody looks forward to. But I think that moment, I think I want to share, Justin, really quick, since you're still here, just tell them that moment when you scored that goal and what that meant when you guys jumped up and you realized at that moment in Madrid that you won. Like, you got to explain that moment.
I mean, if you watch the clip back, you can see frame by frame that I end up reacting first out of everyone, because I realized that I scored the goal. So I was like, really, like, I don't know, I almost blacked out. Like, if you could tell, I got on my chair, I hugged Turbo, and I actually almost ended up falling off the stage, and Sis had to catch me. So I was just in shock, and you could tell everyone else was in shock, especially Garrett. I'm really happy for Garrett. Like, I'm pretty sure he broke his glasses. And I don't know, he was super happy, so I'm really happy for him. But overall, like, the vibe was just amazing, and it was just a really good feeling to win.
So winning. And Zio, same for you. This guy, let me just tell you a quick story, because this is the best. When he came up at his age, and they were ready to take on, to play for world championships. So you imagine there's a lot of different kids from all over the world, just like with what Justin had to go through. And Zio stood up there, and he actually trash talked everybody in the beginning of the actual conversation through all of this as the tournament was starting to play. And we all sat back kind of in this moment of awe, like, oh my God, he better like win, because if he doesn't, he's going to get so beaten down for this. And he had no qualms about it, man. He went out there and he told him he was going to win and he was going to be the world champion, and God help him, he made it. And you can share, man, that was hilarious for a 13-year-old to take on that type of mentality.
Yeah, so I don't really know how I really got this mentality. Really, in the first championship I did play, right? I was so young, and the event was sponsored by Red Bull, that I actually had to play from a hotel, which was a weird experience. So I didn't really get to do any PR stuff for that event. But when it came to the second one, I knew that our team was good. We were the #1 seeded team. So I really wanted to have fun. And I wanted, as a viewer watching other tournaments from other games, I see that players really, make jokes about each other, roast teams. And I was like, I want to make this tournament more interesting and fun for the viewers. So I just got on, and if I knew that we would beat a team for sure, I would trash talk them, because if I win, then people are like, yo, let's go. But if I lose, obviously I'd be a clown. But luckily we never ended up losing against any teams I would roast. So yeah.
And then how did it feel to hold that trophy, man?
It felt really amazing, but that feeling only lasts for 30 seconds. I think what I had the most fun doing was actually playing the matches out, because once you win, you get to hold the trophy for, like I said, 30 seconds, and then the feeling's kind of over. But I think the entire journey and process feels really fulfilling at the end.
For sure. And, with both of you, I think, and we'll get to your parents in a minute, I think what's exciting too is that you guys both have stood up with, a lot of pro players that I've been privileged to talk to and work with, that the stress levels get pretty high. And learning how to deal with that is an art of itself. And I think that, that's something that you really should share, because I think it's a facade. When you watch something on a screen, you don't see the stress, the challenges. We tried to make sure as a team in the background to keep it as simple and calm and comfortable as possible. But what nobody realized was that moment before you started to go into actual play, and then just those ideas of traveling and having to get where you were going and trying to find a place to scrim, and having those competitors, it was like a brotherhood in some ways, but it was also a mental anguish, because you knew the stress that was upon you, and especially working with orgs, what expectations they have. Do you guys have, and Justin, I can start with you, do you have any like advice, for these players, because they don't understand how to get past that pain and anguish, and even in those like 30 seconds of like, oh my God, I just did it. What's your advice in that?
I to this day I still get really stressed out sometimes. I get into my head a lot, like I don't want to let people down if I play really bad, but I just have to take it one step at a time, relax. I have my team's back, my team has my back, so I just, I have a lot of trust in them, and I have a lot of trust in myself to do what I know I'm capable of doing. So I just relax. I put my music on, because I can really get focused in with music. So I put my music on, and then I just, game on. I just focus, So.
Absolutely. And Zio, but what about you? What advice would you share?
Well, I think I'm going to really quickly share one of the toughest things as being a pro, especially for myself, that was such a roadblock in my journey, was burnout. I did not ever properly take breaks, because as a kid, like after like going to a championship, I would grind out, and then the tournament season starts again and I'm tired and I just don't feel like playing the game anymore. So as a big tip would be, if you are trying to take a video game seriously, learn to take important breaks, especially Justin, taking a vacation before a championship. It's a nice way to kind of reset and de-stress, which is, I think, really important.
100%. It's so true. And Nelly and Eric, I know you've been quiet, and I want to kind of put you to the grind on this. Eric, I know for you, this is kind of a crazy time. You and your wife have been so supportive, and you have literally been at every RLCS, and you guys came with him from day one, and you've watched him grow. But you know, as a parent to parents who think this is still crazy. I remember back when I was the only parent, that's why I became the, you know, the COD mom at that point. There was nobody that was at these tournaments, and I kind of took that role, and I'm happy to see that I'm not alone anymore. And I've kind of been, you know, moved over, which is actually a good thing. I don't take that personal at all, but it's really great to see the parents. What's your experience with these parents? Like, tell them your experience with your son and what it was to listen to him and to create that relationship with him from the beginning, and where it's brought you to this point with him. Because I think a lot of parents struggle with the idea that they just don't understand their kids being in their room all day, and they can't even throw trash away in, you know, in their own bedroom, let alone that they're functional.
You gotta understand them when they little, you give them the free time. When they go to school, you tell them, go to school, do your homework. That was me. I used to tell them, do your homework. Once you're done with your homework, then you can play all you want. And you stay on top of them. Make sure they do the schoolwork, they clean after, and then they can play until they fall asleep. But that's me. Every parent is different.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you saw that he was really engaged in it as well. So I'm sure that it took you probably with you and your wife to decipher, am I going to be a part of this, or am I going to fight him at this point, correct?
Yeah. At first, when one time he came in and said, "Oh, they got this game for PlayStation for free," I said, "Okay, if it's free, we can download." Because he was 12 at the time, so we downloaded Rocket League for free, and then since then, it's been history after that.
And Nelly, what about you, seeing your crazy son trying to take on the world? I know for both of you, you and Eric, I've never seen parents yell and scream and lose their voice at the levels that these two have. So there's a commonality, but your thoughts, Nelly, on that as well. No, did I lose? Did they freeze?
It looks like they're a
I
little
think
frozen. Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
Right, we should be
I'm
back.
sorry,
We should
we
be
just-
back.
Okay, it's all good. So tell me your thoughts about Zio and the first time he came to you, and the growth since you've seen that day.
Right, Zio was very young. So when the first time he came to me and he says he needs to travel and go play, I was in shock. I had no clue what he was doing. I know he was playing, but besides that, I had no idea what esport was or all these games and stuff. I was just thinking that he's having fun. So the first time that he told me that we have to travel, I mean, that was amazing. I was just shocked. I was so surprised too, but I really enjoyed it. And after that, I've just been supportive. So I was like, go for it. And I'm just gonna be behind him and I don't know, I was just trying to help him to grow up with it and see where it goes with it. So,
And I think
that was a good experience.
And you shared a really cool story about taking out the trash. Share that comment you shared with me about the uniqueness of the relationship you have with Zio and your other son, Nolan.
Right. You know what? For me was very important because I know Zio is very smart, so he always had straight A's. So we had a deal together that if he does his homework, he's great at school, and there is no problem at school, I'm fine. He can play as much as he wants. So, but the important stuff was that for me that he does his homework done at school, he's great, and then he does this job great too. So I kind of like to be I'm not saying to be perfect always, but I like to, when you start something, you always finish it. So, and you do your best, and I knew he can do it. So, and for me, it wasn't important taking the trash or do chores and stuff. So I thought the more he concentrate, once I knew that he really likes it and he can be very growing with it and get big, and he wins the championship. So that was awesome. So I just let him to do it.
That's amazing. And the question in that too, and I have to say that this is also important because I don't think a lot of people understand, when you guys won, or if you were invited, you were paid, right? That was the one thing that was really cool, is that it was like a job. And I don't think anybody really taught you what that was. I think you figured it out with, especially with me being on the production side, trying to like herd you guys into the areas that you needed to go and be where you're supposed to be. And I think you gradually learned that for both you and Justin Zio. But one of the things that's important is that paycheck. Justin, really quick, because I know that you're at a different level right now. What have you learned through this process of it being a job, like getting that first check, knowing that you have to fight for the second one and that it's more of a career for you? What was that like, for you? And what can you teach the amateur player too about, what it is to get paid and how smart you need to be, as you go through this?
I've known some players in the community that who like have let the money get to their head, and they're like, wow, the first paycheck, I don't have to do anything after. And those players are not on teams anymore because they don't put the time in, they give up after those first few paychecks. But you can't let the money get to your head. It is a decent amount of money that you earn. But you just have to keep grinding, to keep getting that paycheck, like you said. But yeah, just don't let it get to your head, keep grinding, and you save up. That's what I'm doing, saving up. Hopefully can get a house in the future with my money. So that's the plan.
That's amazing. And Zia, what about you?
I mean, since I was like 12 and 13, I mean, I was getting a lot of money from all these tournaments and working with an esports org that basically, my mom made sure I would save my money, but I would definitely go out, buy myself the new iPads, the new iPhones. Like, I definitely, when I wanted something, I would get it because I've been working hard with my esports career. But it was definitely an interesting experience because no one at my age in my schools were doing anything like this or having this type of money. So I would make sure to keep myself tamed when it came to spending stuff. But it was definitely really nice to learn, especially how to save and how to prioritize your money at a young age so it can set you up better for the future.
And with that comment, it's a perfect intro to the idea of your future. I know that you guys love being pro players. I don't know that that will be forever. Do you guys now, at the stage that you're in, have kind of an idea of what your roadmap wants to look like? Whether you're going to play for another 5 years, or what's your thoughts? At this stage of your lives. Justin, I'll start with you since you're still with us.
Like Zio said earlier, the burnt out stage. Like, yeah, I've been playing this game for 5 years now, and I took that vacation because I was definitely feeling burnt out. I was averaging like over 100 hours like in the past 2 weeks for like a month straight, maybe 2 months. Maybe I think I'm still gonna be playing for years to come. If say that does go bad, hopefully I have content creation to go back on. If not, then I'll definitely learn something else and do something that I enjoy. Maybe go to college for something that I enjoy doing. But yeah, hopefully maybe like content creation is my thing after competing.
And Zio, what about your thoughts?
Well, for me, I guess competing, I don't really want to compete anymore because I feel like that's something I've done it. I don't think I can ever play as good anymore because I am getting older and I don't really want to put that type of time into being that good. I think it's really stressful to play video game and having to be the best player always. It's just it's really stressful. So I plan on still playing mobile games and trying to be the best, but I'm really want to do content creation, especially on the new League of Legends mobile game that's coming out, which will be a really big thing, and it kind of aligns with what I do. So yeah, I think it's more satisfying to have fans, teach people how to play video games, and I will never have to worry about, oh, I have a tournament on Saturday and I could lose, which makes the entire week a waste of time. So yeah.
A little different. And out of curiosity, who's Justin, who's your favorite streamer slash who do you look up to for motivation? Who's your favorite, if you could name one or two?
Probably XPC. He's definitely really funny. I love watching his streams. He definitely gets me, in a really good mood if I'm like ever, feeling down or something about like, say like if I play bad a weekend. He's a grinder. He streams like 12 hours a day, I look up to him a lot. He's really entertaining. He's really good at doing what he does for sure. And he's good at making people happy. Definitely.
That's awesome. And Zia, what about you?
I don't really watch too many streamers. There's this one YouTuber. He's a mobile gamer as well. He's called iFerg, and the reason why I he's very inspirational to me is because he used to play a mobile game called Rules of Survival, which was another big kind of battle royale game on mobile, and he became a pro player for Cloud9. He won tournaments in there, and then the game slowly died off as well. And then Call of Duty Mobile came out, and he was able to transition his brand and it became the #1 YouTuber in Call of Duty Mobile with like 1.3 million subscribers, making tons of money, going from, getting like literally the month before the game came out was he got like 100,000 views on his channel to going to 10 million views in the next month. So I think that he was very good at grinding it out and being smart.
It's amazing. That's amazing. Hey, Eric, just out of curiosity to kind of throw a little parent thought to this. So you saw your 12-year-old child who started in esports. What's your thoughts now looking at your son and just the laughter? There's got to be a few good stories in there that you can share that may be a little too personal, but too bad, Justin, we love you. That you can share kind of with everybody, of some things that will always bond you guys through this experience.
Well, as a player, because I was a player back then, my dream was to become a pro player, but not that never happened. But then my son did it for me, so I feel very proud of him doing it. I didn't do it, but he did it. Yeah.
And watching him has probably been really funny. Is there a good story? Got to share at least one good story that only you and Justin could probably appreciate, that I know the viewers would love.
Well, I don't like playing with him because I would not get a chance on anything. I remember playing Call of Duty, and as soon as I spawned, I was dead. And where he's shooting from, and this and that. So I really, competing with him is impossible. I can't do it. Yeah, that's something.
And at a tournament, how did it feel? I know you guys kind of sat in the parent side of things, but what's a crazy moment that you had, when you were watching him play through the last 8 seasons?
Yeah, the crazy time was London. That 0-second goal, I'll never forget. When he puts in the goal, at one point, I thought we won. My brain was just crazy. And I was like, oh, we won. No, we went into overtime. So that was one crazy moment.
Oh my gosh. And Nelly, come on, you have a couple good ones, I'm sure, of Zio. You got to share a good couple insiders.
Not really, because I didn't know how to play the game. I mean, he kept on telling me come to learn, but I just learned it, so I understand. So I could have just cheer him up, because I couldn't just sit there and I don't know what's happening. So I started learning and loved the heroes that he played always. So that was exciting. But I had to keep my control. So because I was like screaming and yelling. So the last tournament, oh my gosh, I was in Singapore. So, I mean, everybody was up screaming and I was just sitting and holding I was like, I can't, he needs to win. And then, because otherwise I'm gonna be embarrassed or something. I don't know.
There was a team in Singapore. There was a team Cloud9. There was a player. His entire family came to the event.
Yeah, even grandma. I mean, for me was like, okay, I really gotta sit down because I don't know, because they won in London, right?
Yeah, they won.
Yeah. So and I was cheering up so much, and then they didn't win. So it was kind of like, okay, I need to keep my cool until really he went. So seriously, I was sitting, I was just so calm, grasping to my chair to see what's going on. After everybody was like, no, they won, I was like, seriously, I was so in shock, but I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
It's been fun to watch too, because you guys have both been to massive tournaments around the world. And I know that both boys, from my perspective, calling them boys, it's kind of funny. They're young men now. But, watching their expressions and watching their parents' expressions are just unique. And I have to shout out to Garrett and his family that Justin plays with. Garrett has a little brother who came on the scene, and Baby G. was sitting in the crowd, and he got just beside himself seeing his big brother on that screen. And this is the kind of environment in which we've been trying to make sure that families, grandparents also at RLCS, same thing, like it's a big deal, and family's a big deal. And I think that's what we want to really push, is that in 2020, as things are resetting, there's a lot of stress in the world. There's a lot of stress in our families. And I think, learning to have your parent as an advocate is really a good thing, but there's a lot of parents that just don't know and they don't understand. And I think it takes the pro player, amateur player to make that time, to be very communicative and to educate and to understand that their parents just don't get it. And if they do, they can be overachievers, and trying to teach them to calm down a little bit, because, they want them to be the next pro player, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy, and it's timing and it's teamwork, and I think that's really very important, to stress at this stage of this podcast. I know we're at a stage now where Justin, just checking in on you. Are you good? Can I keep going? Or okay. Okay. Just want to make sure to keep your time perfect. The one thing that I do want to share too, I think it's really funny, is travel and the experience of what you guys have had. There's not many people who get paid quote unquote vacation, as most people think it is, to be sent around the world. And I think one of the things that was really imperative to me was learning how to be a good traveler, learning how to be a good individual who knows how to be an asset as a brand ambassador to the organization, to themselves. We haven't even talked about social media yet, but I think that for you guys, I think that was something you had to learn. And Justin, just, quickly in your thoughts, like on the travel and the production side, can you just share something that you had to learn that you didn't realize coming in, kind of new into that, and what you know now and what really makes sense?
I mean, every time I go to an event, there's a lot of behind the scenes. You have to, see the pictures and, makeup. Not really a fan of those, but, I have to do it. It's definitely very stressful. I have to get there early. Personally, I never liked flying. I don't really like planes. So it's definitely nerve-wracking for me to go on a plane. But, I've been on them so many times now that I'm starting to get used to them a little bit. But yeah, mostly like the makeup, coming in since, maybe almost a week early, just to do production stuff, makeup, pictures, all that stuff, just for, competition.
And Zia, what about you? What things have you come into, and what have you learned, and what things do you understand now as a player?
Well, actually, funny thing, I was also scared of planes. So when we had to go to our first tournament, or I think we had an event in Texas or whatever, me at 12, I'm also freaking out about going on a plane, and there was turbulence, but also that gets easier over time. But for tournaments, we would also have to do makeup. We would have to also I would do all the interviews for our team, which was kind of weird because the people that were on my team were 18 years old and stuff, and they hated doing interviews. Everyone hated doing interviews. So I would always be super happy to do them all. And we would also have to learn where to stand on the stage. We would have to know where to sit because they wanted certain orders and everything. But I think when you're doing something you're passionate about, you're never stressing over things like that.
And both were growth, I think, for both of you. Like, you really did grow up in the production side of things, because you had no idea coming into it, and then now you guys can do it with your eyes closed. You don't even think about it anymore. I think that first time is always scary, for anyone, to get that ticket and you're like, oh my God, I'm flying to, like, for instance, we were just in Spain, and even I had never been to Spain, and having to go out there and kind of sort it out, and then to make it feel at home, and knowing that everybody was coming to play a world championship. And it's fun now. We're family. We understand each other's quirks. We get it. I think it's fun at this level to be at a pro player side, because you really do find yourself in this process. I think what is a weakness before becomes certainly a strength now, but it takes a lot of courage. And I think parental help has been a part of that. I know that we laugh in production because we would have our media day, and parents who had never been to one had to stay the whole day and watch it. And now you watch these two, if we have media day, and they're like, peace out, we're going to go check out the scenes because we don't need to go watch them do this anymore. It's over. I'm over it, But there's this whole backside of experiences in playing that is what makes this so crazy, because it's not just about the game. Like there's so much more about it, even social media. Both Justin and Zio have social media, and I know that Eric has social media, and Nelly, I believe you have social media. Did they?
Yes.
Yeah, we did start you on that.
I
How's
just
that
want to
feel?
hop in with I know you're moving to social media questions. Just wanted to let you know we have about 4 minutes.
All right. So really quickly, I just want to say this. What things would you say really quickly, Eric, about being a parent in social media? Is it worth it?
Yes, yes. I want to tell the parents out there to give their kid a chance. Gaming is not a joke, it's real, it's good money there, and it's a chance for opportunities. And yeah, it's very big and it's getting bigger. And I've been through this since the beginning. And this time, I believe the past 5 years, it has blown away. I thought that the basically the mobile industry was gonna destroy the PC. Ain't happening.
Nope.
PC is here to stay, and I seen it happen.
And Nelly, really quickly, are you still on social media? Are you good?
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. It's really important to be supportive and just learn what your kid is playing, so that way you totally understand and kind of research, because I really didn't know about it. So but I went for it. So but it's very good just to sit down with your kid and understand what he's playing, what kind of game is it, and where actually they want to go with that. Is it going to be their future? And it's, I don't know, what's very exciting and fun. I will do it all over again if he wants to.
Awesome. Well, that's amazing. Thank you guys, for
Right.
being on this and sharing your thoughts. Justin, good luck.
Thank you.
Knock 'em dead. I can't be biased on anything, but I'm going to share my excitement with you guys. And again, we're just honored to be able to share a little insight on something that most people don't have a privilege to look into.
Again.
For sure.
Thank you.
Since we have just a couple minutes, Kim, do you want to give a little thoughts from your side, what it's like to be an esports mom? If there are any parents that would like to get involved, even if their kids aren't maybe playing competitively yet, but they'd like to get ready to understand that world, what advice might you have for them?
I feel like as the first parent in esports from a long time ago, it's very interesting to realize that this is not like Eric said, this is real. And I think back in the beginning, they thought I was like, stealing children and sending them somewhere, and it wasn't that at all. So I had to explain that I was an older, parent who was doing this. Now in this day and age, it's communication. I think if esports and video gaming has done anything that isn't at its best, it's communicating. And I think if we can learn how to communicate and educate parents to understand better what their kids are doing, and have kids understand how to talk to parents, which is the hardest thing in the world in teenage time, because literally I have 17-year-old twin boys, and I've learned how to communicate because of this industry, and I'm a better mom because of it. I think it's helped me to become a better mom. But we have so many parents now that are so excited, and you can't, as much as you live through your child in this experience, you really need to let them learn at their level, and you need to encourage them at their level, and you can't push them to be superhuman, and you can't burn them out. And they are going through hormones, and it's a whole different world. Female, male, it doesn't matter. There's no issue in video gaming. We are so diverse. We are not going to be beating anybody down for who they are. We want them to be kids. We want them to be adults. We want them to be assets in the world. And as a parent, as esports mom, my goal is to continue to build out that advocacy for all of those parents and players. And I'm always open. My Twitter, Kim A. Meltzer, is always open if somebody wants to DM me and ask questions. You have Zio, who I know would mentor anyone in the esports, especially mobile gaming. And Justin has been a real gentleman as well, being a world champion, to open up questions and thoughts. And that's the world in which I've been privileged to have in the last 10 years. I've raised over 1,000 pro players, over 8 gaming titles. And I can tell you, there's nothing like it. It never saw this coming, and I would never leave it. It's the most amazing experience of my life.
That's certainly an impressive story. And thank you for doing that, because like you said, there used to not be so many parents doing this. So thank you for spearheading this and starting it, and really helping it grow. And thank you to everyone who joined us on this panel. What a unique perspective, because we heard from people in the industry, but really hearing from a pro and a parent, you guys are really the core, right? That's what we see on TV, but we don't hear from such young players or from their parents very often. So this was very unique and definitely very, very helpful and very interesting. So thank you so much.
We're
Thank
honored.
you.
Thank you for having us.